KUAM News Headlines is presented by Calvo's Insurance, a legacy of trust, serving Micronesia since 1938. Matson and the Adahi Tano Program. Cars Plus, home of Guam's first and only lifetime limited powertrain warranty. McDonald's of Guam, I'm loving it. And King's Restaurants, always open, always local, and serving up favorites for over 40 years.
The numbers continue to surge. More positive cases to report from GDOE and the police department. Plus, the Guam Memorial Hospital plans to expand as the COVID cases climb and hospitalizations increase. And the Congress Hall may be closed, but the budget battle continues.
Hafa and good evening. More positive cases, more GDOE employees, and more police officers test positive. Guam's climbing confirmed cases continues to lead our newscast. According to the latest numbers from the Joint Information Center, out of 453 samples ran through various labs, 19 returned positive. This brings Guam's COVID case count to 577. Of that number, 219 are active cases. 4 of the new cases were identified through contact tracing, with the remainder joining the growing list of contact tracing investigations. Also growing is the number of coronavirus cases involving employees at the Guam Department of Education. Last night, the Joint Information Center reported there was a confirmed case at Tidzin High School. On Tuesday, 2 additional employees at Southern High School popped positive, bringing the total number of confirmed cases at the Santa Rita campus to 3. The Guam Police Department also confirmed positive cases. 2 officers assigned to GPD's specialized units are now in home isolation. Following up on last week's testing of inmates and staff at DOC, Major Antone Uggan says they all returned negative. Community testing, meanwhile, is scheduled for Thursday for Guma Tranquilidad residents only. Then on Saturday, community testing will be made available in Jotnya from 9 a.m. to 12 noon at the St. Francis School and Church parking lot. The increasing number of confirmed cases has the Guam Memorial Hospital ramping up its capacity. Not only do they have to contend with more positives, but people also coming in for critical care.
Guam Memorial Hospital Administrator Lillian Posada says that as of Tuesday morning, the agency has treated 14 COVID cases.
4 of them are in the Care 2 unit, which is our pretty much ICU level of care unit. And in the 4th floor Care 3, we now have 10.
With only 5 beds in the COVID Care 2 unit and climbing cases of the virus, plans are in the works to open yet another COVID care unit.
We are seriously looking at also decompressing the telemetry unit, which is the 3rd floor, and making that a Care 4 unit. It has about 6 beds on the Ocean View side that are basically called progressive care unit, and we can accommodate individuals who are critically ill on a ventilator, and so we were looking at using that either as a backup for ICU. Okay. But we need to clear out telemetry, and in the telemetry unit we have non-COVID patients.
Not only is GMH looking at increasing the capacity for ICU level of care for COVID patients, they're also in need of space for patients in need of non-COVID ICU care.
We have seen an increase in non-COVID. Our census continues to be over 110, 120 for non-COVID.
The situation at Guam's only public hospital is such a balancing act that on Monday, Posada says the governor gave the directive to ramp up plans to provide additional bed capacity in the event that the surge surpasses the hospital's ability to respond. She says the military additionally stands ready to serve.
But the governor ordered, Homeland Security and Office of Civil Defense to get those blue medical tents purchased, and so we can stage them right outside of the hospital, as if we need them. So the military already has been, according to the governor, that Manoni has been just keeping a close watch with our census and how our numbers are rising, and so they're prepared to respond to the governor's call for help.
And at the end of the day, the only way to fight this battle is for everyone on Guam to do their part by wearing masks, practicing good hygiene, maintaining social distancing, and staying home.
So really, again, we need to make sure we exercise these preventive measures. Because can you imagine, I don't know, most of you have probably had the flu, right? And it hurts. Even your skin sometimes hurts. Your head hurts. Can you imagine this virus? That's quite brutal. And if it gets on your lungs, primarily attacks your lungs. And so can you imagine the pain that you can feel, when you have this virus? And so, again, that's the seriousness. Not only the pain, but the oxygen level that you may not be getting into your lungs and into your system.
Right.
So this is a very serious matter.
Public Health will be making changes to its protocols for funerals for COVID-19 casualties after KUAM News confirmed the body of a person who died of COVID-19 in Hawaii has been flown to Guam for a funeral here. Public health officials told KUAM this flies in the face of CDC protocols for all U.S. jurisdictions relative to dealing with COVID corpses.
It passes away from COVID-19 related illnesses. We must dispense of the body or inter very respectfully of the decedent within 24 hours. We can either cremate or have a conventional burial, but that is 24 hours at the point of death on the death certificate.
Public Health's Alex Silverio confirms the body was sent to a local funeral home and that the funeral home was also awaiting the shipment of another COVID cadaver from Seattle next week. KUAM has also learned the body was in a casket and dressed for a funeral, something that Silverio said is also not in line with CDC protocols.
The body upon death is immediately put in an HRP, which is a human remains pouch. It's zipped up and the body will be buried as is. No family member can come and see the person. No one can view the body. So that's a very painful part of this.
Silverio told KUAM the governor's office has taken the lead on this and he deferred comment to Adelup. However, Adelup Press Secretary Crystal Paco-San Agustin says public health was made aware that CDC protocols for the handling of COVID fatalities have changed, and those protocols no longer require cremation or burial within 24 hours. The new CDC guideline was released on July 25th. The governor's Physicians Advisory Group is meeting tonight, and one of the items that's on the agenda, the possibility of tighter restrictions for home quarantine. PAG member Dr. Hoa Nguyen.
2 to 4 days before you start showing symptoms. So if you're home quarantine and you go shopping and hang around your friend, you're going to spread this thing like wildfire. So you really have to stay at home, your home quarantine. So we're going to look at that program very carefully to see if we need to change that home quarantine to make it a little bit stricter.
Yep.
We need to look at the pre-arrival PCR to rather than 5 days, we might put it back down to 3 days.
Dr. Nguyen adds that although there have been positive cases inside the government quarantine facility, the surge in confirmed cases shows that they're mostly from community spread. Sinahanya Mayor Robert Hoffman says testing the homeless at Global Dorm is moving forward. They bus individuals to the Northern Center for COVID-19 testing just this morning.
Right now, 34 consumers of the 82 have signed up to get tested, as well as 9 staff. So that testing actually is going to take place right now. They're actually on a bus up there. They're going 12 at a time.
Wow. And
they're going to take the test, and they're taking a test that kind of gives them results within a certain amount of time. And when they do that, should they be found positive, they're actually going to be taken straight to the quarantine center. So we're actually putting these things in place for that, just so they're not going back to the dorm itself.
While we wait for the results, measures are in place to limit contact. He says individuals with pre-existing conditions are closely monitored. They're also working on providing IDs to those who don't have any. Meanwhile, procurement continues to obtain more facilities for sheltering the homeless. Discussions continued today on the fiscal year 2021 budget bill. The Committee on Appropriations held a virtual meeting and will complete a section-by-section review of the measure before reporting it back to the full body for a vote in session. Nestor Lecanto reports.
The discussion began with Senator Therese Terlahi's question about whether GovGuam has the money to cover the 25% matching fund requirement for President Trump's unemployment assistance extension proposal. Budget Director Lester Carlson.
The match is beyond our fiscal ability, and we, as much as we'd love to have the additional funding going to those displaced workers, the formula under which we would have to agree to requires funding that we just don't have.
Under the Trump proposal, state and local governments would have to pay $100 of the $400 in additional unemployment assistance. Administration Director Edward Byrne.
The average number of claimants that we're paying out in the fortnightly claims is about 22,000. So based upon that, we're talking of about 40 million. And I would also like to point out that under FEMA rules, we have to upfront the payment and then get reimbursed.
Carlson adds that it probably wouldn't be a good idea to borrow the money either.
We are in a deficit situation still. It would not be advantageous for us to go out on a short-term borrowing or any other type of leveraging. Plus, between OFB and BBMR, we didn't anticipate any debt service, additional debt service, on top of what our projections for FY21 are at this point in time.
He says the good news is the Guam Labor Department has received another $185 million to continue the separate Pandemic Unemployment Assistance Program. For Guam's News Network, I'm Nestor Lecanto.
Time for a break, but when we come back, the Democratic National Convention got underway today. Decision 2020 news coming up.
Get up-to-the-minute news, plus access to alerts, streaming radio, promotions, and more on your mobile device by downloading the KUAM News mobile app, available at the App Store now.
Our biggest SUV, the Palisade, and our smallest SUV, the Venue. Remember, it's not the size of the dog in your adventure, but the size of the adventure in your dog. Big or small, it's better in a Hyundai SUV.
Social distancing may be the new norm, but connection will always be our tradition. Through good times and tough times, we remain connected with you. Masks may be the new fashion, but protection will always be our style. You can always count on us to protect the things that matter the most. Sanitizing may be the new routine, but caring will always be our practice. We care about your loved ones and the things you value the most. And as we welcome our new normal, one thing remains certain: we will always be here for you. We're open and ready to serve you. Calvo's Insurance, a legacy of trust.
Whether it is tablets for children, special equipment for special children, or coral reef research, federal support is critical for our schools and our future. This week, we're trying to open schools. Parents are worried about their children's safety. Teachers are being asked to work minor miracles every day in teaching without looking directly into the eyes of our children. We must make sure that every child has a tablet, can get online, and get on with their education. We need a congressman who understands education and how the federal government can support every activity in the classroom, in the laboratory, and in the internet. Now more than ever, we need a congressman who will assist GDOE, UOG, and GCC without hesitation in solving problems with federal agencies. It's time that your child takes center stage, not only in school, but in Washington, D.C. I'm Robert Underwood, and I approve this message.
KUAM News, winner of the 2020 Regional Edward R. Murrow Award for Excellence in Social Media.
Welcome back. The Northern Marianas is tracing its first cases of community transmission of COVID-19 for the first time in 93 days. Our Tomas Manglotnia reports.
The CNMI's 50th case identified on Friday through a pre-operation screening is the first community-acquired case of COVID-19 in 93 days. Public Health briefed media late yesterday.
The surgery wasn't a high-risk surgery. The person wasn't a high-risk person. We didn't put them at more risk. We didn't put us at more risk. It was just a delayed diagnosis.
The hospital also announced 3 separate cases last night identified at the airport. And this morning, another confirmed case is linked to the 50th case through community transmission. Meanwhile, 10 medical personnel who had contact with the 50th case are in quarantine.
Beyond that, there's been at least 5 additional family members who've been identified as close contacts. We are back tracing this individual's connection to previously identified case, looking backwards to cases identified in early in June and July.
Health officials say priorities remain at screening inbound travelers.
We don't test blindly. We are identifying individuals based on our risk assessment, and that's how we're going to manage this.
At a briefing today, Governor Ralph Torres says tightening restrictions are an option.
And across the board, if we're seeing more community-based testing, the best thing to do is to not shut everything down completely, but the restrictions that we've lifted is going to go back.
For Guam's News Network, I'm Tomas Manglona.
The CNMI Department of Labor continues to process PUA claims in the thousands. At a media briefing this morning, CNMI Labor Secretary Vicky Beneventi says the community can expect to see more assistance reach their pockets soon.
The team has been working very hard to process and have processed over 7,000 initial PUA applications and weekly applications online and paper. We've already started hitting 1,500 paper applications. Should be done with those applications by this week.
Beneventi also addressed the controversial notice from the U.S. Department of Labor that says CW1 workers in the Northern Marianas are not eligible for pandemic unemployment assistance.
We have confirmed that 75 PUA applicants were deemed CW1 and therefore ineligible for PUA benefits. And out of the 75 of these applicants, 60 have already returned the funds back to CNMI Dole and Finance. And so our return rate is going well.
She noted the office will be conducting virtual community outreach over the next 2 weeks for all applicants. As for an update on the PUA program on Guam, the local labor department has relocated its PUA call center to the second floor of the Bell Tower Plaza along Marine Corps Drive in Hagåtña. Because we are in PCOR 1, in-person assistance is prohibited, but once we're cleared, customer service representatives will return to libraries and PUA operations will reopen at Teredo, Jotña, and Agad. As for PUA payments, GDOL has paid out more than $270 million to date. The local agency has also uploaded its recent allotment of $185 million. Labor is preparing the next batch that covers cleared claims through July 14th. The inaugural night of the Democratic National Convention is underway, with the Democrats making the case for their presumptive nominee, former Vice President Joe Biden. The 4-day event features a combination of live and pre-taped speeches and performances from all over the country in what some are calling an unconventional convention. Natalie Brand reports from Washington, D.C.
We the people of the United States.
We the people call the 48th Quadrennial Democratic National Convention to order.
With that, the Democratic National Convention kicked off with headliners including Senator Bernie Sanders and former First Lady Michelle Obama.
I know Joe. But more importantly, Joe knows us.
Other speakers highlighted why they believe Joe Biden is the best choice to lead the country through challenges of the coronavirus.
Our current federal government is dysfunctional and incompetent. It couldn't fight off the virus. In fact, it didn't even see it coming.
And racial injustice.
We must always find ourselves in what John Lewis called good trouble.
Night one was also designed to showcase support across the political spectrum for Republicans, including former Ohio governor and 2016 presidential candidate John Kasich are lending their support to Biden.
Many of us can't imagine 4 more years going down this path. And that's why I'm asking you to join with me in choosing a better way forward.
Former Trump administration official Miles Taylor endorsed Biden and bashed the president in a new campaign ad released by the group Republican Voters Against Trump.
The president was ill-equipped and wouldn't become equipped to do his job effectively.
The White House called Taylor a creature of the D.C. swamp. Earlier, President Trump took a swipe at Democrats during a trip to Wisconsin, where the Democratic National Convention was supposed to be held in person.
They talk about a convention. How do you watch a taped speech?
The president plans to visit more swing states this week. His Democratic challenger will formally accept the nomination from Delaware on Thursday. Natalie Brand, CBS News, Washington.
You can watch the repeat of today's convention coverage on TV 8 at 9 p.m. and at 10 p.m. on TV 11. As for the rest of the week, you can watch NBC and CBS live coverage starting at 12 noon on both networks. Expected convention speakers on Wednesday include former President Bill Clinton, Congresswoman Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, and Joe Biden's wife, Jill Biden. Meanwhile, President Trump confirmed he will deliver his acceptance speech next week from the White House. Guam Democratic Party chairperson Sarah Thomas Nedadog had hoped to be in Milwaukee for the national convention, but like her colleagues across the country, had to settle for watching it from home.
Is obviously something very new and different in terms of its format, and the fact that, of course, we're not in Milwaukee where we had all hoped to be. And I think the fact that the Democrats went virtual to keep all of our people safe is a good thing. I gotta say, I was really moved by Bernie Sanders. I'm just so happy to hear how he's all in, and he gets it. He sees the importance of him and his supporters coming together for this election.
Nedadog says the Guam delegation is fully behind presumptive nominee Joe Biden and will be making a virtual appearance at the convention.
We will be making a formal announcement on Friday. We should be on national TV when they do the virtual roll call count. So people of Guam, giving you heads up, watch on Friday because Guam will be there making our votes on Guam known.
Again, you can watch KUAM for full coverage of the Democratic National Convention, 12 noon on TV 8 as well as on TV 11. In preparation for the primary election, the Guam Election Commission has adjusted the hours for in-office absentee voting. From now until Friday, August 21st, the hours are from 9 a.m. to 7 p.m. The GEC will then be closed this Saturday, reopen on Monday the 24th through Friday the 28th from 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. You are urged to call to make an appointment to vote by calling 477-9791. Appointments are slotted every half hour. This gives staff time to process each voter, sanitize, and allows the GEC to limit the number of people in the polling room in an effort to practice social distancing. Again, make an appointment by calling 477-9791. From the crime scene, a routine pullover in PD led to the arrest of 61-year-old Efren Tamio Bataclan. When police searched his car, they found drug paraphernalia. Bataclan was also holding in his hand a small baggie containing meth. He told police allegedly that he bought the ice 4 days ago for $200 at a Tumon game room where he usually goes to buy drugs. 39-year-old Jessica Marie Duenas arrested following an incident that occurred in Jotnia around 7 o'clock last night. Police spokesperson Paul Tapao says Duenas allegedly punched a man in the back of the head outside Buenas Mart. She then allegedly followed him and his family while leaving the store. She almost crashed into the victim's car. Although the victim lost Duenas while in Malolo, when they arrived home, she was parked in their driveway. She was arrested on several charges, including assault and family violence, booked and confined. Still to come on Primetime, the Link crew gets tested for COVID-19. The answer to most of your questions, does it hurt? Find out next.
Your community calendar is brought to you by Taco Bell. Whether it's your first meal or your fourth meal, we've got you covered. Taco Bell, live Mas.
We didn't set out to make a hit.
Baby's been good to me, baby's been good to me. song. Real bourbon, no apologies. Wild Turkey. It'll find you.
Small businesses are an important foundation in our island's growing economy. They provide essential goods and services to our community while preserving local traditions and creating new job opportunities. Your responses to the 2020 Census of Guam will help small businesses receive the information they need to thrive for years to come. Respond today. Together, we can make a difference.
King's welcomes you back with our King's Time value menus, full of great deals for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. We hope to see your family soon at King's.
For the Love of Burgers is back with 6 of our most popular burgers, each for just $9.99 for a limited time at Ruby Tuesday Guam.
Take the party home with our new Get It To Go menu. Combo specials and kids meals, pizza, wings, and more. Now available for carryout at Chuck E. Cheese's Guam.
Welcome back. KUAM hit the road to do the right thing, getting a coronavirus test and know our status. Chris, Jason, and I got nasal swabs with varying reactions. So while we were a little nervous going in, the answer to your first question, it doesn't hurt. And as you watch this segment, I've got a question for you. Who handled it best?
Oh my God. Other side. Oh. Okay, I'll call you with your results. I'll be back out shortly for you guys. Thank you.
Thank you much. Bree, how's it feel?
Fine. Doesn't hurt.
Does it?
No, it's just a little uncomfortable. But
Was it a sharp stinging?
No.
You sure?
Yeah. Doesn't
Because if
hurt.
it stings, that means you're positive.
It doesn't. I swear, you're so mean. You're really mean. Oh my gosh. That was a tad bit uncomfortable. Okay, you already know.
You already know.
Sorry. Other side. Okay.
Thank you very much.
Are you having any symptoms today?
Not at all.
And any pre-existing medical condition?
Nerd! Lactose intolerance.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
I'll be back.
Lactose intolerance.
Now see,
Wait. How'd it feel? How'd it feel?
it doesn't hurt. I mean, you know, my eyes are like watering a little bit. See, Karate Man hurt on the inside. Karate Man don't cry.
Looks like you're crying though.
Girlfriend. Mr. Barnett?
Yes, ma'am.
91374, correct?
Actually, it's 91384.
84. Are you joking?
Yeah.
You weren't born in '84, dude.
Okay, go ahead and tilt your head back for me. Then turn your head this way, okay?
What's right?
Turn it towards me. Sorry, other side. Okay. Any pre-existing medical condition for yourself?
No.
And were you swabbed recently? Or this is your first time?
Oh yeah, tough guy.
Yes,
now,
first time.
Okay.
He's asking, can you take his temperature regularly?
Yeah.
I'll be calling you guys shortly. With
Okay, thank you very much, and thank you for what you do. Thank you very much.
It was a little stingy.
A little stingy?
Yep, it was a little stingy.
Yeah?
It's like
Yeah, roll up the window.
it's like when you talk to people who got swabbed, it feels like they go up and
roll
then
up
they
the
find
window.
like an extra.
Can you hold my thing?
They find like an extra inch of nasal cavity up there somewhere. I would say they touched my brain, but you know whether or not I have a brain is still up for debate.
Was it a sharp pain though? Didn't it feel like...
You ever been punched in the nose? It kind of feels like you're getting punched in the nose.
No, I'm usually doing the punching.
Yeah, but really, I mean, it's a couple seconds of uncomfortableness. I mean, Sabrina's pushed a baby out of her. So, I mean, really, guys, put it in perspective. Let's erase the stigma about getting tested. Go get tested. Really, you know, it's one of the key things that we can do to help kill this COVID.
Please, Guam, do the right thing and go get tested. Check out our social media platforms at KUAM News for the next community testing site, which again will be this Saturday in Jotnia. Do it for yourself, your family, for your neighborhood, for your village, and for your island. Keep it here. We're back to wrap up the show after the break.
When I need to pay my Docomo Pacific bills or manage my account, all I do is visit mydocomopacific.com. It's easy to set up. I just visit the website and click on the link to set up my account. I filled out the registration page starting with my account number. I received a text message with a temporary username and password. After making initial changes on my security settings, I'm in! Now I can make payments or manage my Docomo Pacific account without needing to leave home. With Docomo Pacific, we're better together.
This is a bag. But for Steve, this bag gives him food cred. Because now everyone knows that when they have that craving, or they're just looking for the perfect deal, well, they just need to follow Steve.
Follow him all the way to the new McTerry Deluxe at McDonald's. It's an all-beef patty smothered with teriyaki sauce topped with lettuce and tomato on a sesame seed bun. For a limited time, price and participation may vary.
And before we close out the news tonight, here is your latest round of birthday shout-outs from the Cold Stone Creamery Birthday Club. Happy 15th birthday to our son Sean Michelson Nicholas. Love your family. Happy birthday to Edwin Eclavea. Have another awesome day in paradise. Welcome back home with love and hugs from your family. Also, happy birthday to KUAM's very own Oscar Jackson. And happy belated birthday going out to Jackie Alcantara-Paredo. Happy birthday, Jackie. You are so loved. You keep us centered. Hugs from the GWSH family. Remember, you too can be a part of the Cold Stone Creamery Birthday Club by just registering on KUAM.com. And that is going to do it for us here on Prime Time. Thanks so much for watching. Please wear your mask, practice social distancing, wash your hands, and stay home. Good night, and we'll see you tomorrow on The Link, 93.9 The Breeze.
KUAM Sports is presented by Triple J.
All right, Dave Delgado here with former national team player Randy Mendiola. You made the switch to go out to the States following the wife on orders, but you were able to find a couple of rugby teams out there to play on.
Yeah, man. I'm out here in Savannah, Georgia. Play for the Savannah Shamrocks. I also played with got onto the USA South team, tryout team there. It's pretty good, but majority of the time I just playing with the Shamrocks out here. We are recently defending champions actually last year, but obviously with the COVID this year, it's canceled the rest of the tournament for this year's season. So just waiting for that to clear up, and hopefully that opens back up.
Man, when you got on the team, were they tripping out like, hey, man, who's this little fast dude out here playing rugby and taking care of business on the pitch?
Yeah, well, obviously, like size, I'm a little bit smaller than most people out here, but as you know, rugby is not really all about size, although some people think it is, but it's the experience level that we got from Guam, playing on Guam and getting the experience from the international level from there and being coached by, our New Zealand coaches. And, we got a lot of the expats and the Fijians and Tongans that been on Guam. So all that experience from them helped develop what we know how to play in our style as Guam rugby style, what I like to call it. And it makes a big difference out here because we have a really diverse style of playing compared to the mainland people.
And did they trip out on, the technicality and how much you knew about the game of rugby?
Yeah, actually, they didn't think I knew as much as I did. And like my experience level compared to the people out here, especially in Georgia. Georgia's a very football strong place, so everyone knows how to play football, but rugby's still been growing. It's been here for a long time, but it's not as big as you would think. And so, the experience coming from the islands, man, was made a big difference.
And how many teams compete in the league that you participate in?
Well, in our region, this area, like I said, Georgia doesn't have too many rugby teams. So there's about 8 to 10 teams that we challenge throughout the year, the season. Not as much as I would like to challenge compared to like the West Coast, like California and Washington. That's where I would like to kind of continue to move if we could and try and pursue a higher career in that side of town.
And has weather played a role in how the games have been played out there? What's the weather like when you guys have your season?
The weather is not really a big difference. The wintertime, it's a little bit cooler than normally what I'm used to on Guam, but like right now in summertime, we're probably about the same as Guam. It's pretty hot and humid out here. So I guess in that part, it's pretty similar.
And you've had success. I've seen the videos and pictures. Talk about maybe some games that stand out most to you, or a team that you played that you've had a lot of success against.
Well, actually just, I guess just being the style that I come from on Guam and playing what we play is they're not used to defending or I guess attacking people like us. We're just a little bit different. So, I mean, most of the teams are not used to the style we play. So, I mean, I think I got the upper hand on that because they wouldn't expect it. And like playing them, then it's like a little bit of a surprise. And they all ask like, where do you learn? Where do you come from? And all this and that. And sometimes people don't even know where Guam is, obviously, but when they do hear about it and I do tell them, then they start looking into it and they're like, man, that's pretty awesome. A little islander coming out here and you know, showing some of these guys how to play the game.
Are there any other islanders, Samoans, Hawaiians?
Yeah, actually there's a good amount of Samoans out here and Tongans, surprisingly. Not really much Hawaiians, but I have played against some Tongans and Samoans, and it's, you know, the Islanders always stick together. So even if I play against them after the game, they're like, hey, man, where are you from? And they're like, they know where Guam is, of course. And we always, you know, get a talk up. And it's pretty cool to meet some of the other Islanders out here.
Since the whole pandemic hit, what happened to the season and what's the talks been like with the teammates and the coaches out there?
Yeah, so it's hard because we're actually, like I said, we're defending champions. So we're going to move up a division this year. And we started practicing and really getting into it because we knew we were about to play bigger and better teams. And when COVID hit, obviously we couldn't practice. They restricted it. And so the season is up in the air right now. No one knows what's going to happen with it. So we're hoping that if it clears up, we might be able to start back up in October and November. But, you know, like everyone else, no one really knows what's going to happen right now.
And you also got involved with the fitness industry out there. Talk about your background, how that helped you get into the fitness industry.
Yeah, well, so originally I got into CrossFit through rugby, which was awesome. When we were with a bunch of the other boys from Guam, we went to New Zealand and we were there for a few months under Coach Willie Hedaraka. That's where I first got into CrossFit. And when I got into Hawaii, that's when I wanted to become a coach, and I learned how to become a coach, and I got certified in Hawaii. Moved to Guam. Of course, you guys all know Custom Fitness there with the Claroses and the Sablons, and that's where I kind of got more of my experience and learned about coaching there. I was there for a few years, and then moving out here, I was able to transition what I've learned from them out here in the fitness industry and the CrossFit. And yeah, it helps out a lot. I mean, it's not as big out here as you would think, but of course, CrossFit is a pretty cool sport, and I enjoy coaching. There's a lot of people I've met through CrossFit now out here, and a lot of my friends, and that basically become family out here as well, you know. And that's just through coaching CrossFit. And yeah, it helps out with the rugby, of course, to keep me training, keep me fit, and I enjoy coaching, so I love that part.
KUAM Sports is presented by Triple J.
Michael San Nicolas says he's responsible for securing the pandemic unemployment assistance funding for Guam. He claims he delivered the Paycheck Protection Program funding and wants us to believe he was responsible for securing the CARES Act funding for Guam. But in reality, he didn't do his job. He didn't offer any amendments or speak on the floor. San Nicolas isn't telling the truth. He wants us to believe he stayed in Washington, D.C. to secure federal funding for Guam, when nearly every other member of Congress went home to be with their people. San Nicolas was hiding and played no role in trying to pass this national legislation. He's under investigation, and he missed 52% of the votes he could have cast. Now he's trying to take credit for funding he didn't fight for. We can't afford 2 more years of Michael San Nicolas.
I'm Robert Underwood, and I approve this message.
At Island Cancer Center, we treat our patients and their families like our family. We have all been touched by cancer, and it is important to feel comfortable and secure under the care of our health professionals. You can count on us for skilled cancer specialists, the most advanced cancer-fighting technology on the island, and a commitment to caring for you or your loved one with compassion, respect, and empathy. Our family, treating your family.
Island Cancer Center, located on Guam Medical Plaza. Visit us at islandcancercenter.com or call 646-3363.
No matter what size adventure you're into, it's better in a Hyundai. And introducing the Venue, the newest member of the Hyundai SUV family.
Nachos come with rules, like don't take the fully loaded chips, don't hog the guac, and never take the last one. But with the Grande Nachos box from Taco Bell, you can break all the rules, because this meal's all yours.
Weekly Renewal is brought to you by Calvo's Select Care.
Hafa. Today I have Pra Duke, who is a Thai Buddhist monk, here to talk to us about meditation.
Hafa. My name is Pra Adrian Palacios. I'm also known as Pra Duke. And today I'm going to be sharing some ideas with you about meditation, as well as some basic techniques that you can use to practice meditation in your daily lives. Let's get started. Before I begin, I want to share what meditation is not. So first of all, meditation is not religious. A lot of people are turned off by meditation or even don't dare to learn about it because they associate it with religions like Buddhism and Hinduism, when in reality, meditation does not belong to any religion. Another misconception is that meditation is difficult or even impossible. Some people got the idea or taught the idea that meditation is about stopping your thoughts or watching your thoughts, both of which would drive you crazy. So meditation is neither of those things. Meditation is a vacation for your mind and your heart. So when you practice meditation, you get to be in a more calm state because you get to be more present. And when you're present, you get to see what's actually happening in your life, not what's happening in the future or in the past, which is where we often are if we're not in the present. So a simple meditation technique, or the basics of meditation are watching the inhale and the exhale. So you sit in a comfortable seated position with your back upright, and you take a couple deep breaths. And when you do that, you feel any sensations, you become aware of any aches or pains or cricks you have in your body, and you're aware of them. You don't need to think about them. You're just aware of them. You know they're there. And then you close your eyes and you focus your attention to the air that is coming into your nose, down through your nasal passages, through your airways into your lungs. And then you watch that process in reverse. You watch the exhale process. And your full attention, your whole mind is watching this breathing process each time you breathe in and each time you breathe out. Now when you practice this, the mind's not used to it. So it's going to try to go here and go there and think about what are you going to do for dinner, and what did you do yesterday, and why didn't you finish that paper, and you need to pay that bill. And so every time it does this, your only job is to compassionately pull it back to your breath and keep bringing your attention back to your breath. If your mind goes 100 times, you bring your attention back 101 times. And you do it over and over, and you don't need to get angry about it. You don't need to get frustrated about it. And you be gentle with yourself when you do it. So for starters, a good amount of time is about 2 to 5 minutes. And The goal is not to sit in absolute silence for that whole 2 to 5 minutes, though that would be amazing. The goal is to be as still in the mind as possible by being still in the body. So you practice this for a month, 2 months, and then you increase your time and you'll notice the changes. You'll notice what happens in your life. You'll notice that you're more present, that you're more mindful, and that life becomes more pleasant. Meditation is one of those tools that we can use to help ourselves to grow, to help ourselves to cope, to help ourselves to live through the world that we now live in. And that's why meditation.
Weekly Renewal is brought to you by Calvo's Select Care.
MTO Maintenance will now completely sanitize your home, office, or business with state-of-the-art commercial sprayers. For over 30 years, MTO Maintenance has been committed to the health and safety of our customers. And now, more than ever, a clean home, office, carpets, and furniture is a necessity to our island. Give us a call today. Stay healthy and stay safe, Guam.
Call 647-6861 for an appointment. Guam's auto appearance specialist, Elegant Reflections, has been providing the automotive industry with professional detailing and car care products at its highest quality, from complete detailing, full interior detailing, exterior detailing, headlamp restoration, hand washing, seat and carpet shampoo, engine degreasing, undercarriage cleaning, paint sealant, fabric protection, paint oxidation removal, and so much more. Visit us at our new location. Call 646-5555 for an appointment. Elegant Reflections, Guam's auto appearance specialist, over 20 years of experience.
Billy likes sausage. Mom likes pepperoni. Winner. Both. Level up with 2 one-topping pizzas. Finish it. The Double It Box, only from Pizza Hut. No one out-pizzas the Hut.
Health Check is presented by Island Cancer Center.
Anxiety, definitely. Depression, definitely. Insomnia, agitation, negativity, irritability.
Maria Trapp, a doctor with OU Medicine, says losing your job can be hard on your mental health.
Even if, like I say, you don't care for your job, you still have a purpose in that you're providing. You have a place to go.
Trapp calls it a sense of identity, and the loss can cause a major blow to your self-esteem, and a lack of control can make it that much worse.
Ravenously hungry because they're trying to fulfill this void, or I don't care. I don't want anything.
And the grief symptoms can vary every day.
Maybe today they have a headache from the stress and they feel agitated. Maybe tomorrow they're able to be a little better.
But what can you do to get to the other side of the loss? Trapp says it's acknowledging how difficult a time this is.
This is hard. It's very, very hard.
And the worst thing you can do is this.
Ruminating on it, like, why me? Why did this happen to me? This is so terrible. This is so terrible.
Trapp says it's so important to get out of the negative loop, and it's vital to focus on what you can control.
Looking for a different job, staying connected with our people that care about us and support us, trying to maintain our mental health, trying to maintain our physical health.
Trapp recommends if you've lost your job, it's best to try to find a therapist if you can. And it also sounds counterproductive, but it's best to also get out there and have some fun. Go out and get a hobby. Kelsey Kernstein, Oklahoma Zone, News 9.
Health Check is presented by Island Cancer Center.
That's when Lil' Mama came through stealing looks. Whoa, she off the rate scale, she had me shook. Yeah, but if you single tonight and can't find your friends, then I hope you don't mind me asking. Do you wanna dance to the music? Do you wanna rock to the beat of the drum? And we could cut it up, cut it up, cut it up, cut it up. Baby, we should cut her up.
My child, Econo, listen. The winds are singing. The ocean is roaring, and the trees are dancing. Our island is moving once again. In Afamolic, our unity has carried us through the stillness of today. And now, the spirit of Hafaday is yearning for France come home.
Nana, is it time to bring all our friends back now?
Hungen, yes. It's time for the world to give us a moment together.
Nachos come with rules, like don't take the fully loaded chips, don't hog the guac, and never take the last one. But with the Grande Nachos box from Taco Bell, you can break all the rules, because this meal's all yours.
House to Home, presented by Remax Diamond Realty.
Top of the day once again, and welcome back to House to Home, where we are staying socially distant, and we have a perfect square of guests. There are 4 of us in the Zoom room here at KUAM today. We have Liz and Gina from Remax Diamond Realty, and of course, Zenon Bellinger, who is a civil engineer and Zenon, should I say, a certified home inspector? Your specialty is basically assessing the quality and the state of a home such that it would be in proper order for a transaction. Would that be inaccurate?
That's correct. Yeah, that's correct. That's fine.
Okay. Wow. I came up with that all off the top of my head. See, when I hang out with realtors for the past 6 years and everything, they teach me a thing or two. Okay. So ladies, I know you have had many conversations with Zen. I don't even want to get in the middle of this because you guys are completely in your own zone. So I wanted to hopefully bring the 3 of us together, the 4 of us, I should say, together, and maybe just talk about the inspection process. So Gina, this is something that you always have something to say about.
Well, you know, I've been curious because I was explaining to Zenon that when, you know, it's been like a million years ago that I got into real estate, at least I feel that way. But we used to only have licensed engineers. Some of them have different licenses, but basically Zenon is one of the individuals that is a licensed engineer who we were going to whenever buyer was concerned about getting a home inspected, whether it was an existing home or a brand new home. We would reach out to somebody like Zenon and say, hey, could you inspect this home? But in these modern times, we're finding that there are home inspectors out there who are in the business of doing home inspections, and we're not familiar with the training or the requirement. You know, what does an individual need to do in order to call themselves a home inspector and to operate their business that way? And that's, you know, I was kind of asking Zenon earlier, you know, what are the requirements? I know you're an engineer and you offer home inspections, but these other people that are out there, and we are utilizing their business as well, how do they go about becoming a certified home inspector, and what kind of background do they need? Do you know?
Generally, inspectors will go, you know, come under the tutelage of either construction people or engineering people, and then they learn their trades from there. Sometimes I'll run into super inspectors, like I call them, that have no engineering background out in the field, and we're building something, and they seem to know a lot of everything. And I look at them and I go, I don't know, man. I mean, I'm a civil engineer. I limit myself to civil engineering stuff, plumbing, structural. On occasion, I'll look at the electrical issues myself, and then the drainage issues. So it's difficult sometimes to come up with, you know, what do you call it? An inspector that knows it all. So I have looked on the internet, and I've looked at, you know, different types of inspection reports and stuff like that. We generally do the stuff that HUD has, Housing and Urban Development, and then we monitor those the things that they're looking at, because most of our stuff, the inspections that we do, go through the Housing and Urban Development, through the banks and stuff. So
I'm assuming though, Zenon, when you do your inspections, you're looking at government regulatory issues, as well as structural, sometimes, you know, depending on the issues with the home. I mean, some of the inspections we've seen are like 80 pages long. Mm-hmm. And some of those reports sometimes are opinions versus something regulatory, a regulatory issue. So when you do your inspections, what do you focus on?
Well, initially initially when we come on the property, I'll look at the general lay of the land to ensure that there's no environmental issues, primarily drainage, because sometimes drainage issues can mess up that you can have erosion, you can have foundation issues and stuff like that. So from the exterior, I look at it from that. I'll also look at, how close are the trees? I mean, if they're too close and you get a lot of leaves on the roof, it's gonna mess up your roof drainage and stuff like that. If there's no leaves on the roof and the people do a good job of trimming, I don't even bring that up because, that's a maintenance issue. Then I look at the walls and ensure that there's no structural cracks and stuff like that. I go around the house. I look at the windows. Sometimes when we put shutters up, the corners of the windows crack, and we may have to repair them with epoxy. And then once we're all done outside and on the roof, I look at the roof to see if the sealant is fine. If there's no sealant, and sometimes people don't put sealants, then it's a matter of cleaning. And I tell them, if you clean this, your power bills are going to go down. If you put a coat of white paint on it, it'll even go down more. But that's something that you can do on your own, or it's not a requirement. Okay. So then I'll go in and I'll look at the interior of the house, and I'll look at around the windows, the doors, and the walls and the ceiling to ensure that there's no cracks. Also the floor. Make sure there's no settlement issues, and also make sure that the walls are fine. Once that's done, then I go and look around at all the plumbing fixtures and the plumbing. Sometimes I'll see some that are what do you call it? They're not in the walls and they're surface mounted. So then we try to determine are they properly mounted. Then we'll look at that, and then we'll look at the voltages on the electrical side. Make sure that all the boxes are okay. Make sure that all the water heaters and the air conditioners have disconnect switches, so that when the requirement is when you're working on these things, you've got to turn it off, not at the main box, but right next to it, so that there's no issues. Because most of the time when you're working on an air conditioner or working on the water heater, the rest of the house is on. That's why the disconnect switch is there. We'll look at the GFCIs, or the ground fault circuit. And these are, within 6 feet of wherever there's water. And that's so that you don't get electrical shock and stuff like that. So we'll look at that in the shower areas, the bathrooms, the sinks and stuff like that. And a lot of times people forget that underneath the sink, there's a garbage disposal. And when you have the garbage disposal, that outlet has to be a GFCI. So those are primarily the things that we look at. And we get up on the roof, we'll look at how's the power being fed into the house? Are the wires on top of the roof? If it is, then we got a problem. We got to lift them up so that there's no water on the roof that can touch the power wires. So there's a lot of different things that we look at. Now we only list the things that are problem areas. And when we do our inspection, normally the inspection lasts anywhere between 30 minutes to an hour, depending on how big the project, how big the house is and stuff. And in that 30 minutes to an hour, we try to do our due diligence to catch everything that we can see. I also ask the buyer, you've been here several times looking at this house. Is there anything that you think that I should know based on your observation? And I'll let you know if that's a proper observation, or maybe it's just aesthetics.
Now, I've got a question, and ladies, I'd like your opinion on this, because from the Guam Association of Realtors standpoint, I mean, Zenon, obviously from his responses, which were fascinating, he's got a firm handle on the mechanical, the structural, and the technical aspects of a home. And, he said he is a professional engineer, so his word and his opinion, and ultimately his signature on an inspection and assessment carries a lot of weight. What does the Guam Association of Realtors mandate as far as like licensure for people that, because you were saying, not everybody is a certified professional engineer, or they're like someone who has literally passed the test to be able to give their opinion on something. Like, what are the qualifications if someone wants to do this kind of work?
Actually, under the Guam Association of Realtors, it's not under the Guam Association purview. It would actually be under the licensing board, because they would have to go and apply for a business license, as well as show whatever documentation they had, but it does not fall under the Guam Association of Realtors.
So I wouldn't have to go through 7 years of engineering school if I wanted to. I mean, obviously I would need to go through training and I'd have to have like a lot of instruction, but I wouldn't necessarily have to go off and become a certified engineer to do this kind of work.
Well, that's what we're noticing now, is that we do have home inspectors. So they're, you know, their line of business is they are home inspectors. And no, they're not licensed engineers. And so that's where the question came up is, you know, and you were asking about the Guam Association of Realtors. That board oversees realtors only.
Okay.
And that, you know, our field of expertise is in the business of real estate. We're not home inspectors. We can walk through a home and we can say to a buyer, the water leaks on this roof concerns me. You should get a professional to look at it. These termite tracks on the wall concerns us. You need to get a professional to look at it. That's where our expertise ends. We can tell them what concerns us based upon our experience in the real estate business. We've seen these things occur before. And so we'll tell the buyer, you know, you should be concerned about these things. You need to get a professional to address these issues, but we're not the professional.
Okay, well, let's go to the professional, and Zenon, as our featured guest for today, we'll give you the final word as we're running a little bit out of time. What should a potential buyer look for if they want an expert, qualified opinion about the state of a property?
Well, like I mentioned before, I mean, there's a lot of parameters here, but you look at, I mean, if you're looking at who you should hire as an inspector, then you would look at a professional engineer or someone with at least credentials of that nature. But there are also inspectors that do this type of work. We've found that sometimes the appraiser comes up with some good ideas on you know, he'll see something before we even get there. The appraisal is done, and the appraiser will list out all the deficiencies that he's seen. And on occasion we agree with him, and on occasion we go, no, that's a superficial crack. You know, it's not a major issue. Or he'll say, well, there's a leak, and I'll go, well, the leak is right at the joint. It's not a plumbing piping issue. It's more of just a valve issue and things of that nature. So between the appraisers and the inspectors and the realtors, we all over the years have come up with all the different things that we've seen. And from time to time, because, you know, a lot of these inspections are quick. And so we rely on each other to because they've seen the property 2 or 3 times. I'm only there for that one particular visit. And
I'll tell you what, just take my money, please. You're obviously a outstanding expert in the field that you do, but I would love to actually continue to talk about this. I got to go sanitize my hands because we are all staying socially distant and we are doing the right thing. So ladies, I really appreciate it. And Zenon, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you.
Another fantastic topic. We'll see all you guys next week.
We can do this again. Okay, bye-bye.
Thank you, Zenon.